there's a point where a dude, he puts a silencer. He puts a silencer on his gun because he's in the hospital. I was like, finally, somebody gonna use some sense with these guns. He puts that silencer on and for what? Talk about that HAVOC over here. You see it?
Yeah, I did.
All right, people, this is the #1 movie on Netflix in all territories. It deals with a drug deal gone bad. Tom Hardy plays a detective who's already kind of shady, kind of got a dark past in the pocket of a corrupt politician. And that politician says, you know what, you better settle this whole thing, because in the middle of it all, they say who started all this war between these gangs out there because of this drug deal gone wrong. Man, would you believe it's our friend Justin?
I know.
Who, me? I knew what?
Come on, Justin, you can't stay out of trouble.
I knew he was trouble the moment we were hanging out with him, man. Now you got all these Asians fighting each other. Daddy corrupt. Yeah, Justin, what did you do? Well, what? Yeah, you.
Well, those big eyes really served him there.
You big crazy black son of a bitch, what'd you do? Out here causing trouble in these streets. No, so this is the latest action movie, not only to be on Netflix, but also from the director a director that everyone loves out there. That is, if you love action, Gareth Evans.
Ain't up for discussion.
Don't forget, I know what you did.
You have no idea what I did.
Apparently he does.
No, I know.
I do. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the reason why I bring up Gareth Evans' name is because he is a big name with action fans out there. He's the guy, if the name sounds familiar, he brought us The Raid, and I believe The Raid 2.
Yeah.
And if that action looks familiar, and what we showed you with HAVOC, is because you did recognize that same style in the Raid movies. Yeah, it's best action movie in decades, Martin. Twitch Film says so. Right there. But the reason why we're talking about Justin Cornwell is because his character, he is the son of this politician. Everybody thinks that he's the one that was involved in, oh my God, hold on, I took that sound down. He was the one that is involved in the drug deal. They say that he might have been the person who killed some of the people during that drug deal. So now you start this big gang war between these crime syndicates in the city. And they want the person that started it all, which is him. That's why Forrest Whitaker, who plays his father, saying, get him, settle all this, bring him back to me. And maybe I'll forget that crooked shit that you did that I know about, that you want to keep playing with and denying.
Yeah, that crooked shit I did for you. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Well, how else you going to keep control over somebody, man?
Yeah, right.
You don't keep bringing up old shit. But so with this, I'm going to tell you, so listen, we mentioned the guy's name, Justin Cornwell. I just wanted to say that, full disclosure, because there's no way you're gonna get out of it. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. People either gonna think you're name dropping, or they're gonna think it's going to affect your review. And I just wanted to say, whatever we're saying here, that is not the case at all. If I'm gonna tell you this, if I really want to avoid saying anything about it, I just wouldn't review it. I'll find some kind of way to dance around this. But we'll be just as honest as we can with this review. There's no bias in here at all. And with that said, I'm gonna say that the movie, there's no doubt that this is gonna be #1 on Netflix, because just from the trailer you can see that this movie does a lot of impressive things on a technical level. I mean, the stunts, the violence, the action. They have an opening car chase in here. Now I think this is gonna depend on how you look at it. I think there's a car chase that opens the movie that is so stylized that either people are going to love it because it's so stylized. They're going to be like, well, that looks so crazy that it doesn't even look real. But I thought that car chase was actually filmed in a very clever way. I thought it had a lot of style to the point where it's like, this is pretty amazing that they put this much work into these angles and camera moves around the cars that they did. I don't know how much is enhanced by CG, but hey, look, you know, it's good to see a little something different. There's a lot of things that are there. You got a stunt that's happened, a guy hanging on the back. I don't know how much they sped up the film or enhanced this with CG, but I thought it very, very much added to the speed of this and drew you in. Had my adrenaline going. I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it's very stylized, depending on your taste. It's awesome or it's not. I thought it was pretty amazing. I don't know, you know, what you thought about that.
No, I you know, we live in a time where car chases, you almost kind of ignore them. And like usually you see a car chase, it's in a Fast and the Furious movie, and yeah, those first few of those, couple of those, the car chases were exciting, and then they got to be so ridiculous and so CG that you're like, whatever. And then here this comes, it's fresh and it's exciting. And you're right about your adrenaline. I was like, you know, even though it's stylized and all that, it works. I was like, man, this is really well choreographed, and it's a great way to draw you into the movie. I was like, it's been a long time since I've been excited about a car chase.
Yeah, the camera work is incredible in that. I don't care how much of it is you know, assisted by AI or CG or whatever. It gets the job done.
It does very well.
With that said, you know, other times it's really style over substance, if you ask me. In fact, style just shoots substance in the face at one point because, you know, listen, we say this, I say this a lot. I can't say this about everybody, you know, but I say that a lot of times when things get ridiculous in an action movie, it's a video game. And listen, HAVOC does the video game format better than some actual video games because video games, people are saying, you know, man, video games have way too many cutscenes and they're way too long. Not here. No. because you will get like about a minute of dialogue and then it's back to brat, 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 brat. You know, in fact, you better hurry up and say what you got to say, because if you take too long, somebody busts in the room. They don't even know who they're shooting at anymore. I think you're on my team. I don't know. You know, they just start shooting people. You know, I don't even know if they know what they're shooting at anymore. Now, you know, they do. Don't let me make it sound like I exaggerate a little bit. Don't make me sound like there's not any kind of setup or anything. Or they just, you know, right off the beginning of the movie, they just start shooting. No, you know, that's not the case. You know, they do set up. They spend some time setting up the story in the beginning. You know, it's an interesting, if I've seen it all done before story. Tom Hardy, as I said, he's a cop, shady past. We've seen that. Family life has gone to pieces. Ex-wife hates him. He's in the pocket of a crooked politician. He has to stop a big crime gang. You know, and all of that has some really fun performances and dialogue. But I believe as the movie goes on, the action and the shootouts, those start to take over. Action starts to take over. I mean, all the shooting starts. Shit, they shoot so much, Story just run out the room with his head up. Shit, fuck this. They shooting up in there, right? I ain't telling no more story up here. You know, it's crazy, man. It's you know, they just after a while, that story they set up, it don't matter no more. You know, it's just, if you're an action fan, awesome, because that's what you're mostly going to get. I think it's going to get to a point where whatever they set up, it doesn't even matter anymore.
Did all the action blend in with one another?
Yeah, no, what you said, all the action blend in.
Yeah.
The action. Well, you know what? I'll tell you about that in a little bit. That's a good question. I'm gonna throw it to this man right here.
I don't necessarily think that the story doesn't matter anymore, but by the time you get to the third act, it matters a whole lot less. I think that for this kind of action thriller, I think it's got a pretty good story setup. And it's murkier than you normally get. You know, I mean, you kind of almost don't have anybody to root for, because your main protagonist is a crooked cop, Everybody else is either crooked cop, crooked politician, or gangsters.
Yeah.
And then you got some low-level thieves, and you're like, man, there's no clean person here, which is kind of cool. It's like, and the movie's grimy. Having just watched The Accountant 2, I was like, that movie was very clean. And here, this is all very dirty that they get into it. And this sort of something that happens that I was like, oh, you kind of caught me off guard. I didn't realize that was what was going on. Okay. Yeah, I was more into the story and impressed by the choreography of the action, how well it's put together. It's just that by the time it got to the third act, that's when most of it, like, okay, a lot of stuff I liked that could have been developed into something is not.
See that by the time it got to the third act with you, it reached that point halfway in the movie for me, because the movie just got loud.
Yeah,
and the action is great. The action is really cool here. Like you said, it's well choreographed. What they're doing is awesome. But after a while, just the gunshots overpower the movie.
Well,
what's that?
Well, I will say I love the fighting, but there's a point where it's all gunplay, shootout, and I was just like, maybe I reached this point in my life where I find shootouts to get boring after a while.
The things, because for me, it started out where the plot they set up started shrinking to the point of the movie. The biggest line of dialogue was brat brat. That was it. And it's crazy because they do more shooting than talking. Most of the guns in here fire about 1,000 rounds.
Yes,
before they run out. Every handgun's a machine gun. Just about.
Yes.
And if it ain't a machine gun, they shoot, even if it's just a pistol, they shoot the loudest rounds.
Yeah, it's also that thing where you have a few characters under siege by a lot of characters, and they'll take a pistol and unload it in one person. And I'm like, don't you think you need to save that for all these other people coming up?
Oh, I got about 1,000 more rounds.
Right.
Good. Man, okay, so this is where I mean by, because as the story starts to shrink, things get crazy. Things get downright nonsensical. And as somebody who's directed the movie, you can tell what the priorities are, because it's kind of like gunshots and gunplay and action and violence takes priority over any kind of logic or continuity or anything that makes sense, even by the rules that I set up. I love guns. I don't give a fuck. I'm not following the rule of guns. And sometimes they waste time just doing cool gun shit that doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
There's a point where, because I was talking about how loud the guns are. There's a point where a dude, he puts a silencer. He puts a silencer on his gun because he's in the hospital. I was like, finally, somebody gonna use some sense with these guns. He puts that silencer on, and for what? You didn't silence shit. What you put a silencer on for? I mean, man, the movie took a long time, so I'm screwing that silencer on, taking his time, and I thought he was gonna do some stealth shit. He came out, gah, 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 gah. I was like, why?
Well, maybe the gun would have been a whole lot louder without it.
You know what? Just stab the dude. They don't go through all this right here. That gun pretty much said, "Hey, hey, you turn around." Dumb shit with this, man.
I mean, realistically, without the silencer, it would have been so loud it would have deafened him in that hallway. I mean, that's just movie gun logic. The idea of even having a silencer to make your gun go thup, 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 it's like, that's not real.
No, but if you're gonna set it up,
yeah. Oh, I know. We just spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah,
that
fool spent his time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna be quiet with this. He should have just done this and looked at the camera and said, "Shh." Tiptoed around the corner. Be quiet. Watch this.
Yeah, there really was no reason for him to silence a gun anyway.
The gun should have yelled, "Bang, bang, 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 bang." Just stupid, man. Oh, but you know what? For a balls out action film, that's excusable. I'm not going too hard on it. That's excusable. But my problem with the movie, and to answer your question, because you said, do these things flow into each other? I think it gets repetitive.
Yeah.
You get a small chunk of dialogue, and then they get to shooting each other. Small chunk of dialogue, somebody busting and keep shooting each other. The only thing is that, because it's following a pattern, I think. And it gets, it gets a little repetitive for me. But what the movie does do with each one is that it tries to top itself.
Yeah.
And the more it tries to top itself, the more ridiculous it starts to get, because it's just now it's not again about logic or anything. It's just about trying to find ways to be more violent than the last scene and to get more gory. And it does that without thinking if it makes sense at all. So you have this character, and then, let me see here. So you have this character of Mia, and this is her next to Justin Cornwell right there. That's Mia, played by Quaylen Sepulveda, and she's in a nightclub, and she's waiting to get away with a passport, and she's by herself. And so this girl is by herself, and they don't know if anybody else showing up. They just know that she's there, and they send an army after this girl. And it's not just the army; it's an army that comes in 3 waves for this one girl. This girl must be a Terminator or something. They know something that we don't know. She must be dangerous because they send in 3 waves of people after her. And here's where it really gets like a video game. First group, they got guns. Okay, cool. That's what you're supposed to do. Then they send in the butcher knife crew.
Yeah.
He'll come in with to hack her up. Not swords, but a cooking utensil. So, okay, the crime boss is on a budget. Okay, so cool. And then the third wave comes in, and they got pipes.
Yeah.
What the fuck you gonna do with a pipe? I don't know.
Pipes hurt.
Like how? But again, how bad did you have to fuck up where you didn't get a gun? No, hell no. You almost shot me last time. You take this pipe. I'm not even risking a knife on you. You take this pipe. And by the way, it's funny because unless you got a gun, you fucked anyway. Because if you have no matter if you have a butcher knife or a pipe, that shit is gonna get snatched from you, and all it's gonna do is get used to whoop your ass. That butcher knife. Oh wait a minute, let me see here. That butcher knife that she had. See who did it? The person with the gun.
Yeah.
That butcher knife didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
And if you got a pipe, forget about it. I mean, a pipe, what you gonna do? You just gonna hit somebody with. The moment you hit somebody with, they just gonna snatch that ass and beat the shit out of you. Some of these people is right here, like the Three Stooges after a while. Yeah, so he got his ass beat. Look at him.
Yeah.
He has a pipe. Somebody just dropped one, and he picked it up and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But could you even tell like who it was like in the action scenes at that point, or was it just blurs, a lot of jump cuts?
I'm gonna say by the third act, I couldn't tell who was who anymore. As far as who was coming, I could tell the good guys, but there's even something funny with that. I don't know. What do you think, Mark?
Surprisingly, most of the time I could tell. I mean, but there's, you got a lot of gang members who come in and they're just gang members. They're NPCs.
Yeah.
So, and they get taken out, so it doesn't really matter. But when you got the crooked cops, it was easier to tell them.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. See, he's being racist because they were white, they weren't Asian. See, they all look alike. No, I'm just messing with you, man.
You got to tell who was who by who they were attacking.
Yeah, but because the cops were characters.
Yeah,
a lot of the Asian people were just henchmen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's all they were. I don't know. Like I said, it gets so crazy by the end of it. Like all of the action was pretty much a blur to me. I believe that you probably like this movie more than I do.
Yeah. I think I did, in as much as it starts out better than I think most of these movies are. Like this being number 1 on Netflix, of course it is. This is that exact kind of movie that people tune in to see on Netflix over and over and over again. That makes them the number 1 movies. But going into it, I was like, oh, this actually has more of an involved story than a lot of these do, the thriller. And I was certainly interested in that. And then when you get to the action, especially this nightclub scene, I thought that was the peak of the movie. And really the thing that Gareth Evans is best at when you look at movies like The Raid and The Raid 2. Like this is what you hire him for. This is his bread and butter. And here he has to do what he's used to doing with Asian cinema, but make it American because Because normally, you know, you think, well, in America, everybody's got guns. You wouldn't have all this kind of hand-to-hand fighting.
Yeah.
So he's bringing that in. It doesn't really, like, logically, it doesn't make sense or work. But he does so. At this point, you just go like, look, I see that the emphasis is the fight choreography, and I'm here for that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool. The way the camera's going around, the back and forth. All that I thought worked really well. I was like really excited at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of the action that happened all up to this point, and I thought this was the pinnacle of it. Now, it's everything after this where I felt like it started to drop off.
Yeah.
So you talk about action blurring together. There's a big shootout at the end that's just excessive and just not nearly as interesting.
Yeah.
And
not as interesting as club scene.
yeah. And you're right. Here, you know, after the first wave, we start getting second waves. It gets more video game-ish. And by the time we got to that last shooter, I was like, this is a straight up video game at this point.
You know, I don't know if you ever seen like these like games like Double Dragon or something where characters come in holding clubs,
Yeah,
knives
exactly.
and shit like that. That's it gets gorier too. I would say that.
Yeah.
A lot of death. I don't want to sound like I didn't enjoy the movie. I did. Like I said, man, it's a ball out action film. They know what they're doing. But like I said, by the end of the movie, man, it gets so crazy that some people start, like, especially the good guys. Some of them just running and just shooting. I got their eyes closed.
Oh yeah.
They hitting.
They hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you know, like we were just talking about last week, is one of those action movies where the good guys never miss and the bad guys never hit.
Yeah. And
if you're a good guy, you get hit, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
It's in the shoulder, and yeah, you'll just walk around like nothing happened.
there you go, video game. The good guys had auto aim. They had their eyes covered. Meanwhile, the bad guys who should know what they're doing just missing everything.
An army of bad guys firing machine guns into a building where there are three good guys, and they don't get hit by a goddamn thing.
No. And if they do run out of bullets and somebody knows martial arts and just kicks the shit out of them.
Yeah. That is very video game. Somebody comes in, okay, you're out of ammo, you punch them, they fall down, you pick up their gun, and then start shooting.
And then you start shooting. So that's why I believe that this director loves working with Asians, especially with this movie. That's why you have Asian gang.
Yeah.
Just to have an excuse for everybody to know martial arts. Because that's his thing, and he does it well. What I do like is how he combines martial arts, somebody who knows martial arts, and they're fighting someone with a street style. Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hardy, he gets into a fight with a couple of people, and it's a combination of this person knowing their art and him just doing some street shit. It's just him just doing some brutal, I'm just gonna throw your head into
just
something.
Brawling.
Yeah, brawling. She tried to do a little bit. He started kangaroo punching. He didn't hit a damn thing. Yeah, fuck this. I'm just gonna pick your ass up. Yeah, I kind of like that because really do I believe that he could whoop her ass for somebody who knows her art like that? No, but they did make me believe it. He just hits the point, he's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do some street shit.
Yeah.
But however this started, I just believe it didn't matter anymore because at the end it's just chaos. It's complete crazy ass chaos. So I like Tom Hardy in this.
I really liked him a lot in this, and I haven't liked him in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like him because I think Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy today is playing one character. He's Eddie from Venom, okay? And he's Eddie from Venom in this. He's just a little more hardcore and a little more rough. But the thing is, he plays his character all the time. That same voice, same acting style, but it commands the screen. He's fun to watch, no matter what it is. I like him in this. He's just not doing anything new. Same mannerisms.
Eddie Brock is always so passive, and this is a character who gets in a lot of people's faces.
Well, he's the same character from the Bike Riders. If y'all have seen the Bike Riders, he's kind of the same guy in a way. He might be a little more gritty here. He's a combination of a lot of these characters. Eddie Brock, character from the Bike Riders. You've seen the other movies where he's done the same voice, same mannerism. The only criticism I would have is that it's just nothing new. It's the same guy. But is it fun to watch with him? Does he command the screen? Yeah, he does. But I don't think any leading actor here has anything to really work with character-wise. Either they're in it for, either playing, something that is so one-dimensional, like, a villain or a crooked cop, or they don't have a whole lot to work with. Forrest Whitaker, he's not in the movie a whole lot. Forrest Whitaker is like Tom Hardy. He's good. He knows how to hold it down. Does his character really have any personality besides, I'm just crooked? Nah, that's about it. But he's fun to watch. And this is why I wanted to come in here and say that I don't have any bias here, because the characters I want to see the most, and it has nothing to do with me knowing this guy or anything. There were two characters that seemed to be the heart of the movie, that seemed to be a little bit beyond just types, and that is the character of Mia and Justin Cornwell's character. I actually thought that they were interesting. They're the ones who seem to have a very interesting backstory of like, what did you do that was so bad?
Well,
fucked up.
well, with Justin's character, it seemed like from the trailers, they made it seem like, well, this is him and Tom Hardy, but I feel like it showcased Mia more.
No, it does. No, I was talking
wow, this is more her movie.
It really is more of her movie. He gets a little something at the end with Forrest Whitaker that's pretty good, but it's more Mia's story, because they spend a little more time with her, and that was like, I really want to know more about her.
Right.
I want to.
Right. Yeah. Because you get to see stuff with her uncle, and then in the club, her fighting. And you're like, well, shit, she's just as good as everybody else.
And I thought
she's a powerhouse.
Yeah. I'm like, where did she get these skills from? This ain't just some street shit. It's like she knows something. She got some skills. What is going on? What did they do? They covered a little bit, but what did they do that was so bad? I want to know their story.
Right. Yeah, they just like to get them in this situation. It was just kind of a throwaway line. And I was like, Like, I really with this story, the way it's set up, I was like, there's so much here that could be explored, but we gotta go to the action, because that's what people are here for, I guess.
Yeah, and like I say, by the time we get to the end, and it's so crazy. I can't even tell you what's happening at a certain point. People are losing it, man. I just don't know anymore. I'm just like, wow. Now, this is where it'd be a bad video game, because I don't know who I'm supposed to be hitting anymore.
Oh, well, I didn't have any problem with that, but I did have a problem with that the gang shows up and just shooting the place up. But then they seem like they wanted them alive, and I was like, how does this work?
There's an ending that only makes sense here.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
And Justin, hey, I would tell you if you're not any good.
No, he's good.
You're great in this. I don't want you to think because I'm criticizing the movie that this is on you. No, I told you, I'll be honest. Because I don't think it's a great movie, but I think that it's a good film for Netflix. I think that it's right where it needs to be. I always say that it's right where it needs to be. And and Justin, you're great in the movie, man. I really enjoyed your scenes with Tom Hardy and with Forrest Whitaker, the brief moment you had with him. But I wish I could have seen more of both you and this other character here. I think you both you did very well in the film. But yeah, man, look, it's very entertaining. Like you said, there's a reason why it's number one on Netflix. There was no doubt, and I had fun watching it. I had a good time watching. Don't let me think that that I'm talking about this movie bad. I'm criticizing it hard. But I think Netflix is the perfect place for it. Like I said, I think it's very weak on story. Action is very strong. The only reason why I would say put it in theaters is because of something like that car chase. But the only reason why I would say don't is because I think the action just gets too wild and chaotic at the end. But hey, man, if you watch this on Netflix, you will not be disappointed. You will, if you're an action fan, you'll get exactly what you want out of this. They do some incredible things in here. Yeah, I would give this. We just reviewed The Accountant, and The Accountant was The Accountant 2, and The Accountant 2 is funny how these two movies are kind of similar to me, and not in style, because the style in this I think is good. I think it's sort of like a better shot. I don't know, I'm probably not going to say much, but we were talking about this today, James and I. Sort of a better looking Max Payne.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, Julian said that he saw some of Sin City in this. I could see it. The city is so stylized. I got him. No,
Okay. All right. Well.
No, because the city, think about this, because I when I looked at him, I wasn't like, get the fuck out of here. No, I remember when the trailer came out, that one shot right there, I was like, that does look like something out of Max Payne or Sin City. It just doesn't have the monochrome look to it. But it's a very stylized city. It's a very dirty city to reflect the corruption of everybody. Because like you were saying, everybody got something going on. So it's like this city that's just dirty, man. You know, it's like the Detroit of the Crow or something. And that doesn't look just like that. But again, it's a very stylized city to reflect the crime and corruption that goes on with it. I got that. I got that very much. So yeah, you know, I would give this a, you know, what I was saying, the reason why I was comparing it to something like The Accountant 2 is because I think the movies that are entertaining, they have a lot of good action, but there's some just big flaws in there that bring it down for me to like a high rental.
Okay. Well, other than that scene with the L train, that looked stylized, but the rest of it I didn't think looked all that stylized to where I thought it was a fictional city. I don't think
it was a fictional city. It's a stylized version of a city where it's so gritty and dirty.
Yeah, but it never hit anywhere near a Sin City look to me, or even Max Payne. But that being said, I did think of The Accountant too, also watching this, because like the style of both are different, but they're both action thrillers on a certain level, and they're both very entertaining. I had a number of moments where I said, "Oh shit." And I think that's pretty good for a movie I'm watching at home. They don't get a lot of that. I think it's entertaining on a level to where it delivers on what it promises, what the audience wants. This kind of audience wants for something like this, and I think it's great on Netflix. But I also could see seeing it in the theater, especially with the opening car chase and the nightclub fight. I could see appreciating those watching them on the big screen. So I saw this as more of a low matinee.
Okay. Cool. I think either way, it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
How often do you guys check your phones while watching this movie?
I actually, that, you know what?
Yeah.
That actually is a thing.
Good indicator, yeah.
I think I checked it once.
Oh, that's good.
And it was like, and it was toward the end.
Yeah. No, I was watching it. It's something that kept my attention the whole way through. I didn't think it was something that I thought was bad or anything like that. I watched it. I had fun with it. I mean, it's like listen. Most of my complaints about this are with the story. That's all. I just don't think it's a good story. I don't think it's like I think it's something that's very light on story. I think it's the priority. Like I said, the director was action, and he did it, and he was great at it. But yeah, everything else, I just don't think I wasn't emotionally invested with anybody, anything like that. Somebody said, "You just got through complaining about Julian." Man, listen, shut the fuck up. The thing is,
just trying to rile you, man.
Just trying. I was like, I think Julian had a point. And by the way, Julian wasn't the only one to say it. The editor called me up and said, "Does this remind you of Max Payne a little bit?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I'm not just going. Listen, I'm not going to fuck with Julian when he don't need to be fucked with. I thought he had a point. Man, why y'all bring Julian in here anyway, man? Oh yeah, because Julian said it. Yeah, I did. Sorry. Julian's not always wrong. Yeah, don't leave that man alone. I guess I should take my own words. I brought him in there.
Yeah, you should. Maybe I'll see Max Payne because of the snow.
What's that?
I said maybe it's because of the snow y'all see Max Payne.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. It was just looking at it in some parts. It looked like very almost graphic novel stylized version of the city right there. But that's just me and Julian and the editor. Was that Pixie? You see Sin City too? Pixie.